It's that exciting time of the year once again when smartphone brands unveil their latest flagship devices all at once. Manufacturers have made huge improvements in battery life and display technology over the past few years, but recently, we've finally reached the area that interests me the most: professional camera and video capabilities. And right here in front of me is the newly released OPPO Find X9 Ultra, featuring 8K video recording. OPPO continues its partnership with Hasselblad, promising that classic lens experience everyone talks about. It sounds impressive on paper, but the real question is, can this phone actually deliver the kind of footage creators truly want? There's only one way to find out. We test it ourselves. As someone who loves making documentaries, I decided to shoot a short documentary using this phone and push its camera system in a real-world, demanding environment. But before heading out to shoot, image quality testing is essential, so I've prepared several testing methods that I regularly use to evaluate a phone camera, and we'll go through them one by one.
A quick shout to my tech partner from China for sharing this video. A big thank you for making this possible. Hey everyone, it's Maiky from techmaiky. If you love staying updated with the latest gadgets, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out our exciting tech content. Now let's dive into the unboxing.
To properly test the camera quality, we first need to switch to its highest recording setting, 8K at 30 frames per second. We also need to enable the built-in log mode. Log is a color compression format commonly used in professional cinema cameras. This type of compression packs image information into a flat, gray-looking picture. While it may not look appealing straight out of the camera, understanding the manufacturer's log curve is key to getting the best results during color grading. Although every manufacturer's log footage appears washed out, it actually preserves a huge amount of image data. The real measure of a log format is how usable it is and how easy it is to edit. That determines whether creators can achieve the colors and visuals they envision. To evaluate the log performance of this OPPO phone, I brought out my beloved Nikon RED camera. Despite its compact size, it's a true cinema camera, capable of recording 6K raw video at bit rates of up to 300 megabits. A 512GB memory card only stores about 30 minutes of footage, quite a luxury nowadays when storage space feels as valuable as gold. The testing method itself is straightforward. Using a color chart, I capture matching shots under different conditions and then restore them to identical colors during post-production. The difficulty of that restoration process, along with the resulting image quality, reveals the true capabilities of OPPO's log mode. Most camera manufacturers provide restoration curves and technical white papers, making log conversion relatively simple compared to more advanced professional workflows. However, I've also encountered some unusual manufacturers that provide log footage without offering restoration curves, making the entire process incredibly frustrating. Fortunately, OPPO provides not only conversion LUTs, but also the Hasselblad linear conversion curve currently used in Hollywood workflows. We could spend time carefully reading the white paper and studying every detail, or we could forget everything you just saw, because all you really need to do is import those conversion nodes directly into DaVinci Resolve. As you can see, with only a few simple nodes, we can perform color space conversions using matrices while accurately adjusting color temperature and exposure. The workflow is surprisingly easy. In 8K at 25 FPS, after converting the log footage into the standard color space I commonly use with a tetrahedral interpolation plugin, we can observe OPPO's log2 curve in action. Combined with H.265 encoding, 10-bit color depth, and sufficient bitrate, the footage retains a good amount of information, giving us considerable flexibility when adjusting exposure. Of course, it still doesn't offer the same editing latitude as a dedicated professional cinema camera. Limited source quality remains limited source quality. In bright environments, exposure can generally be pushed or pulled by about 1.5 to 2 stops without causing major image degradation. In low-light scenes, however, raising exposure reveals information that was previously lost in the shadows. Even so, the footage remains highly usable overall. Another major benefit of 10-bit color depth is the flexibility it provides for color temperature adjustments. Here we can see that footage captured at a normal white balance can later be shifted toward dramatically warmer or cooler tones while maintaining nearly the same color quality as if the adjustment had been made in camera. The color science reminds me somewhat of the Komodo, perhaps not quite as natural, but impressively close for a smartphone. The advantages of 10-bit recording also extend to creative color grading. In this example, we convert Log2 footage into a commonly used film look. This preset contains roughly 32 nodes, and the resulting image shows smooth color transitions without noticeable banding. When it comes to preserving color information, I found that the phone retains basic color data very well. More challenging colors like greens and skin tones are captured accurately. However, darker skin tones reveal that red reproduction isn't entirely natural and still benefits from some secondary color correction. In general, I believe the Log2 curve on the OPPO Find X9 Ultra performs exceptionally well. It not only provides convenient conversion tools, but also preserves a large amount of original image information. In terms of image quality, smartphones have progressed rapidly in recent years. Advancements in sensor technology combined with powerful computational photography have enabled OPPO to deliver both 4K and 8K video recording options.
Our testing showed a major leap in 8K image quality, which is why we decided to use 8K as the main standard for comparison. To be honest, the phone's 8K performance completely exceeded my expectations. With many mirrorless cameras, heavy noise reduction is often required, which can leave footage looking overly sharpened and somewhat unnatural. But with this phone, whether capturing the fine details of leaves in a forest or preserving the texture of facial wrinkles, even when zoomed in to 200%, the difference in resolution isn't nearly as large as I expected. When compared with similar scenes recorded in 4K using an A7 series camera, the gap in resolution becomes very obvious. OPPO's 8K recording appears to contain real, usable detail, and that genuinely surprised me. Honestly, I originally assumed the phone's footage would be completely outclassed by 6K video, but after reviewing everything on my computer, the level of detail didn't seem dramatically different at first glance. If I compare it to footage from a 4K mirrorless camera like the FX3, things become even more interesting. Compared with modern smartphones, it's actually difficult to say which one has better image quality overall. I also noticed that color retention remains impressive even in low light conditions. The green tones are preserved extremely well. My guess is that OPPO's engineers intentionally reduced the amount of noise reduction in their processing algorithms to retain more color information. The trade-off, however, is that darker areas can show a slight color cast. This is easier to spot at 3x zoom, while the issue is significantly reduced when using the 1x wide-angle lens. In the same shadow regions, the color shifting becomes much less noticeable. Although the phone's resolution can surpass that of some cameras, sensor performance still can't fully match larger sensors. That said, under normal viewing conditions, without zooming in 10 times, you'll realize that smartphone image quality is getting increasingly close to traditional cinema cameras. Of course, I'm not claiming that the Find X9 Ultra can truly replace the professional cinema cameras sitting behind the lens. I'm simply using the Komodo as a benchmark because it's part of my daily workflow. By comparing a device we use for travel, everyday life, and casual recording against professional equipment, we can better understand just how close smartphone image quality has come to cinema cameras. That way, if I ever need to film with a phone, I'll know exactly how it can be used to source footage. There are also situations where a phone may be the only camera available, and in those moments, understanding both its strengths and limitations makes shooting much easier. Now, beyond all these technical discussions, let's talk about the user experience. No matter how amazing the image quality is, if the shooting experience feels frustrating, you probably won't even want to take the camera out, let alone create something great with it. Back in OPPO's native camera interface, we can see that the professional video mode is thoughtfully designed. The settings you frequently adjust are neatly placed on one side of the display, while less commonly used options are positioned elsewhere. The image settings menu even includes a built-in LUT preview function that can be enabled or disabled with a single tap. Better yet, you can import your own LUTs as well. One thing I really appreciate is that the phone remembers all of your professional settings. Parameters like shutter speed, ISO, and white balance remain unchanged even if you exit the camera app or switch to other shooting modes. Likewise, when changing between lenses, your original settings stay intact. Naturally, since the lenses have different apertures, exposure will still change accordingly. Professional mode also includes tools such as a histogram and audio monitoring, which are incredibly useful during shooting. Personally, I think one of the best features is the customizable shooting interface. You can freely arrange different shooting modes exactly where you want them. You also have control over which modes appear on the main screen and in what order. It instantly feels like stepping into modern smartphone design. Another pleasant surprise is the display brightness. Even while shooting 8K 30 FPS in log mode under direct sunlight, the screen remains bright enough to see clearly. There are still a few limitations though. At the moment, aperture settings can't be adjusted manually, and the current aperture value isn't displayed on the interface. You also can't tell whether lens switching is optical or digital. At the same time, OPPO still doesn't support Blackmagic Cam, which is a bit disappointing for users looking for a more professional workflow. Now that we've covered the shooting experience, let's talk about accessories that can make filming easier and more convenient. For most setups, we need to attach a tripod or gimbal, which means an arc mount becomes essential. If you're shooting handheld, a side handle or grip can help stabilize your footage even further. Need to add a microphone? Then you'll want a cold shoe mount as well. And perhaps most importantly, you need a solid camera rig setup to achieve that cinematic shutter speed and overall shooting experience. Unfortunately, the phone case provided by OPPO only supports its teleconverter and doesn't include external mounting options. That's exactly where our Coronus system comes in. Simply attach the metal frame to the phone using the quick release mechanism, then add accessories according to your shooting needs. The result is a flexible setup that allows you to freely combine different accessories and build the perfect rig for any situation.
All right, with all the preparation finally complete, it was time to start filming. On the shooting day, I packed everything I needed into this small bag, and honestly, I can't remember the last time filming felt this relaxed. After that, I drove for about an hour to a winery where a friend of Mr. Liu works. This winery is quite special because it still follows traditional winemaking methods, which gave the entire place a strong sense of culture and history. The filming process itself wasn't any different from a traditional documentary shoot. It was mostly interviews along with capturing plenty of B-roll footage. As for equipment, besides the phone, I only brought a 600D and a reflector to add a bit of light to people's faces. Some areas were simply too dark, and without additional lighting, the footage wouldn't have looked its best. The rest of the B-roll was filmed entirely using natural light, even though the lighting inside the winery was extremely dim. To be honest, I was a little nervous about it, but because I had done extensive testing beforehand, I believed the phone would be able to handle the scene quite well. I'm curious what you think. Does this footage accurately reflect the lighting conditions on location? Personally, I feel the overall result turned out very well. Yes, some areas are definitely dark, but the strong contrast gives the people in the frame a lot of texture and depth. So, what is it actually like to seriously shoot a short film using a phone? If I had to describe the experience in one word, it would be easy. I don't know why this spring has been so incredibly hot, especially during our shoot. Spending an entire afternoon inside a stuffy winery, trust me, after going through that, you probably wouldn't want to smell wine for at least a month. But in an environment like this, the biggest advantage becomes obvious. If something unexpected happens, you can simply grab your phone and start shooting immediately. Your accessories and setup stay simple, without the usual hassle that comes with larger camera rigs. Of course, being able to capture footage is one thing. Whether that footage is actually good is another question entirely. After seeing these shots, do you think a smartphone is already enough for everyday filming? For me, I believe a phone with image quality like this is already more than capable for daily use. The biggest advantage is that it allows me to capture moments that I normally wouldn't be able to film while maintaining a professional shooting style. If you ask whether I could use this to shoot a professional documentary or a lifestyle vlog, my answer is yes. Its image quality is already sufficient for nearly all of our needs, especially considering that it isn't relying on highly specialized equipment. In some cases, its image quality may even outperform certain dedicated devices. Its portability also makes it possible to capture scenes that would otherwise be difficult or impossible to film.
and I think that's one of its greatest strengths. Of course, there's still the obvious limitation that I haven't mentioned yet. Smartphone videography still can't match the level of background blur, extremely shallow depth of field, and subject separation that you get from professional full-frame cameras using lenses like a 50mm f.4 or a 35mm f.12. Computational bokeh in still images has become incredibly advanced. Sometimes it's almost impossible to tell whether the blur was created by software or optics. But when it comes to video, we still haven't seen a truly mature solution. Video relies heavily on processing power and complex algorithms. Current computational bokeh solutions can create significant blur, especially when paired with telephoto lenses, but relying on telephoto lenses also limits our flexibility in everyday shooting situations. This is honestly the one problem I hope manufacturers can solve in the future. Imagine walking out the door with nothing but your phone. No bulky gear, no carrying 4 or 5 lenses. Shooting would become incredibly simple, and capturing beautiful footage would be easier than ever. I'm really looking forward to that day. Smartphone videography has only existed in its current form for a few years, and we've already reached this level. Who knows what kind of phones we'll be using or what kind of footage we'll be creating just 2 or 3 years from now. And with that, we've reached the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.